I want to take this opportunity to invite the Vice Chancellor of the Pondicherry University.
Lalit Verma is a great friend, good friend of mine, and if I say that he's one of the greatest art lovers and has a passion for promoting all forms of art in Pondicherry, I won't be far from reality. And he's rightly taken on this occasion to celebrate 150th birth anniversary of Shri Aurobindo. In fact, this literature festival that is organizing also to commemorate that. And the other occasion is 100th memorial year for Shri Subramanian Bhartiya, the great revolutionary poet. Many of you would know, of course, because he did most of his work from here, that he lived on a very short life, 39, 37 years. And by the time he was 32, he had a mastery of over 30 languages, which is not easy to do. Why we remember him is that most of his work was done in Pondicherry. When he was working in Chennai, the people advised that Britishers will soon arrest you, so it's better cross over to Pondicherry borders. And that's the French territory, so nobody will follow you. And this is where he did most of his literary work. So I have been always, whenever I come here, I have been saying this is a very blessed land, a very rejuvenating land, very spiritual land because of the factors that are enumerated. And here, because of Lalit's passion for art, promotion of all forms of art, be it painting, classical music, or social events, religious events, he does a remarkable work. So when he said this is to be done for these 2 days, I immediately agreed. I said, whenever you tell me, I never say no. And I was delighted to see this performance. And I've also learned that there are many writers who are going to be coming in here. So I took this time out to congratulate all of you that you have been participating in this. And we look forward to more such events. And we also hope that in this great land, we have more passionate art lovers like us, so that all forms of art, including classical music and dances, should grow further to the heights that these arts deserve. Our youngsters are not getting into this, but I hope with this kind of promoters doing their best here, the day is not far off when this land will be known as a land of, we know it's a medical hub, it's a cultural hub, it's an education hub. It will be known as a great cultural hub for all forms of art. So congratulations, and I wish the event a great success. You will all be joining the events in the evening also. I'm sure it's going to be a very enjoyable one for everybody, particularly for the youngsters. Thank you very much for inviting me, and God bless all.
The name of the festival is Towards the Essence. And we hope that we can continuously remain with the sublimity in the era of the sublime, which basically invites people to become more united, more inward, and more harmonious. So there is, in some sense, some kind of a oneness to art. So while Grace is going to grace us, I hope we will have poetry by Sudip Sen, who is the co-curator of the events. So I request him to come and take over the stage with his poetry. We have a short, we are going a little late, but we will cover ground. Thank you.
So this is an experiment. While Grace is blessing the terracotta tiles and preparing the stage, I will read out the poem which she will dance to. Now, we haven't rehearsed this at all. We've just met once. Yes.
So it's already lunchtime, I'm sorry, but it's like that when we have beautiful, powerful people presenting their works and sharing, it will always spill over. I will try and make this an experience that is short and conducive enough so that you can experience his poem and my translation of it. And I'm going to be abiding by a few rules that are typical rules First of all, the rule of symmetry. The rule of symmetry we also witness in our dance performance today, of how beautiful the symmetry is also in the man and the woman, in their Shiva Shakti, Ardhanarishvara energies. This kind of symmetry is very important in Kollam practice. We unfold in 4 directions of space, the cardinal directions of space, and it's like we switch on our GPS so that we become again attuned to the natural forces around us. And this is the first orientation of man, that when it wants to step into the world, it has to orientate itself. So it has to learn how to activate its GPS and not only rely on the phone GPS, right? Then the second rule is the mirroring. So there is always a mirroring happening in those 4 cardinal directions that creates the symmetry, that creates the harmony, that creates the balance, and that also enhances the balance and the symmetry and the beauty within ourselves. And then there's rhythm and repetition. And this rhythm and repetition is in our heart throb, in the music, in the raga, in the swara, in everything that we do. We are actually always in repetition. How we do our day, how we start our day. There's always a repetition of things that come to us. And in the Kollam practice, that is also a big rule, that you repeat things and you repeat things and you kind of groove it into yourself. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing these symmetry, mirroring, repetition, rhythm, movements that come to me inspired by his poem, Sudip's poem, that is called Offering. And I'm going to work with big chalk because this allows me to hold the traces of my movement and make them visible on the paper. So all movements are the beginning of language, and they enhance our language skills. We learn our language better when we also learn about the habitual patterns of people that are speaking, for instance, Tamil. So if you want to learn Tamil, you have to understand Tamil people. Or if you want to learn English or French, you have to learn through their habitual patterns, their movements, the language. Because the language is originated from the movements. It's very interesting. So I'm just going to give you a little insight on that experience. And everything is done with eyes closed. So I don't know where I'm going to be or where I'm going to end up. It's a complete experience for me as well. So let's do it.
Before she starts, I'm going to just read out the poem once so that you have a narrative layout with the whole thing. We're doing this for the first time. I was very insistent that we rehearse, but she was very insistent that we should do it as an organic thing, which is a lovely challenge, which is wonderful because the festival itself is like that. We are breathing as we are looking, and we are experiencing things. So this is called Offering, and it's for all of you, especially the gods of poetry and Sri Aurobindo and the second god. Offering. The kindness of thy vision, lyric and blood. Her endless notes left for me little secrets, graces, trills recorded on blue and purple parchment to be lipped, tasted, devoured. Only the essence remains, its thickness, its juice, its memory. Seamless juxtaposition, the brute and the passion, dry of the bone and wet of the sea, coarseness of the page and smooth of the lips iridium. I try and trace a line, a very long line. The ink blots as this line's linear edge dissolves and frays, like capillary threads gone mad, twirling in the deep heat of the tropics. Threads unraveling, each sinew tense with the warmth of moisture and the other's flesh. There are no endings here, only beginnings. Precious incipients, translucent drops of sweat perched precariously on a collarbone, waiting to slide, roll unannounced into the gullies that yearn to soak in the rain. Heartbeats shift the shape of globules as they alter their balance and color, changing their very point of gravity, constantly deceiving the other. I stand wanting more of the bone's dry edge, the infinite blur of desire, the green, the wet, the salt, the ink, and the underside of her skin. The kindness of libation, lyric and blood. The kindness, the kindness of libation, lyric and blood. Her endless notes left for me. Her endless notes left for me, left for me, for me. Little secrets, races, trills, recorded on blue and purple parchment, to be lived, tasted, and devoured. Little secrets, graces, thrills, recorded in blue and purple parchment, to be lived, tasted, and devoured. Only the essence, only the essence, only the essence remains, the essence remains. Its stickiness, its juice, its memory, stickiness, juice, its memory, juice, stickiness, seamless juxtaposition. The brute and the passion, dry of the bone and wet of the sea, coarseness of the page and smooth of the lips meridian, seamless juxtaposition, brute, passion, dry, bone, wet, sea, horse, try and trace a line. I try and trace a line, a very long line. I try and trace a line, a very long line. Trace a line, a very long line. The ink blots as this line's linear edge dissolves and frays. The ink blots as this line's linear edge dissolves and frays like capillary threads gone mad. Like capillary threads gone mad, twirling in the deep heat of the tropics. Capillary threads, mad, twirling, deep heat, tropics. Threads unraveling, threads unraveling, threads unraveling, threads unraveling. Each sinew tends to the want of moisture and the other's flesh. Sinew tends, want, moisture, flesh. Sinew tends, want, moisture, flesh. There are no endings here, only beginnings. There are no endings here, only beginnings. No endings, only beginnings. Ending, beginning. Precious incipience. Precious incipience. Precious incipience. Translucent drops of sweat perched precariously on her collarbone, waiting to slide, roll unannounced into the gullies that yearn to soak in the rain. Drops, sweat, perched, collarbone, slide, gullies, yearn, soak, rain. Heartbeat shift the shape of globules as they alter their balance and color, changing their very point of gravity. Heartbeat shift the shape of globules as they alter their balance and color, changing their very point of gravity, constantly deceiving the other, constantly deceiving the other, constantly deceiving the I stand wanting more of the bone's dry edge, the infinite blur of desire. Stand, wanting more bone dry edge, infinite blur desire. I stand wanting more the bone's dry edge, the infinite blur of desire, the dream, the wet, the salt, the ink, and the underside of her skin. The dream, the wet, the salt, the ink, and the underside of her skin. Wet, salt, ink, skin, ink, salt, wet, skin. Only the essence remains, its tenderness, its juice, its memory. Seamless juxtaposition, the brute and the passion, dry of the bone and wet of the sea, coarseness of the page and smooth of the next meridian. I try and trace a line, a very long line. I stand wanting more of the bone's dry edge, the infinite blur of desire, the dream, the wet, the salt, the ink, and the underside of her skin.
Very intimate, very inside out. This is my Kollam coming through my body. So it's Where is the red?
Please finish it with the red.
It's on my face.
একটু ছোট করে দিচ্ছ না তাহলে সব আসবে না
I took this whole thing in my phone as well.
So, in few words, what you just experienced is what I make my students experience when they come to learn Kollam with me, because I want them to learn to feel how to divide their body in space and to see their traces that they make on the paper, to see what happened physically, emotionally, mentally, what images they had interiorly as they were making this deep process. And maybe Savitri can add a word, Savitri's experiences. No?
Yeah, I did a few of those workshops with you.
Yes.
And it was quite a discovery to just lay on the paper and just draw one's body basically on the paper. Quite a
So I basically let them discover their proportions, their physical proportions, the length of their body, their arms, and they have only a few rules to abide by. They have to repeat their movements 3 times. They have to do it in 4 cardinal directions of
It was
space.
very surprising when it came out.
And they have to use both the hands. So what you do with the right hand, you also do with the left hand. And this is extremely healing because it brings your brain to synchronize, it brings the body to synchronize. And obviously this poem is extremely passionate, so I had to turn myself inside out and allow myself to be also vulnerable in that sense, which is not always very easy for me. So thank you for allowing me.
Grace, you must say what you actually do with the paper at the end of every performance. It's not possible here.
No, we can, normally I...
Gaba,